Cubic 851, turn right, heading 180. Order 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established.
Hey everyone, welcome back to DJ's Aviation. Aircraft retirements are often major events within an airline's home country, and sometimes the wider aviation industry. The retirement of an aircraft like the 747, or other aircraft, which have been in airlines' fleets for decades, usually causes quite the celebration before their final flight. Airlines will often put the final aircraft of that type on a tour around the country, or on farewell flights internationally. This gives the public one final opportunity to see the iconic aircraft fly in that airline's colours. However, once the aircraft powers down for the final time and comes to a stop, what actually happens to them? Well, unfortunately, if you've seen any of the documentaries online, or maybe on the television, it's usually not very pretty. Aircraft retirements, though, can go one of a few ways, with only one really being a positive outcome, and also being unfortunately the rarest. Today, I plan to discuss what happens to aircraft when they do retire. Starting off on a positive note, sometimes iconic aircraft, like let's say the first 777 built, maybe down the line the first A350, or other firsts, will be maintained and sent to aviation museums to be admired by the public for years and years to come. As I said, this is one of the rarest outcomes that occurs, as for every maybe 5,000 aircraft that are retired, only one or two are actually sent to museums or are preserved. We recently saw the first 777 built, which was with Cathay Pacific, head to an aviation museum in the United States. This acquisition means that this iconic aircraft will be maintained for decades to come, and its incredible stories will live on. However, it's not as pretty for everyone else. An aircraft graveyard, as the name suggests, is a place where planes go to rest after their lengthy time in the skies. Before aircraft can go here, they sometimes have their life extended if another airline picks them up for a few years, second-hand, at an incredibly reduced price, but ultimately a number of them then head to the graveyard. Airlines like Alliance within Australia have been known for taking the approach I just mentioned. But let's talk about graveyards. A popular location is Victorville, better known as the Aircraft Boneyard, and a place I'd recommend if you ever get the chance in your life to visit, to go. You won't find many places in the world that ooze as much history as that boneyard. The boneyard has retired aircraft lined up for as far as the eye can see, and is one of the best places to see these vintage birds. However, for aircraft that don't make it to this boneyard or graveyard, they can end up being used for more exciting things, like a hotel in Costa Rica, which has a 727 fuselage being used as a home, or maybe the jumbo stay in Sweden, where you can stay inside a Boeing 747-200 for the night. In fact, you can even sleep inside the engine. Experiences like these highlight how not all aircraft retirements can be negative. If you are interested in checking out how to stay inside a Boeing 747-200, or actually witness someone experience it, I will leave a link to Simply Aviation's video in the description below. Before airliners do head to the likes of Victorville, they do also head to storage. While in storage, they either undergo a lengthy procedure where they are re-registered with another airline, or they are simply deregistered and have the inside stripped. The managing director of Air Salvage International said, "The amount of components that can be reused depends on the age of the aircraft. We may remove some 1,200 parts and components from a fairly newish A320 type aircraft. The engines make 80% to 90% of the value, and it is always the first thing to go. Often though, when an aircraft is retired, it'll have its titles stripped, to avoid being photographed with the airline's markings still on it as it deteriorates. However, for aviation enthusiasts, it really isn't that hard to see a Qantas 747, as it still has its red tail present. Scrapping an aircraft for parts is another option, as I just brought up before. However, this sort of thing only occurs under one condition, as stated by the Air Salvage International Managing Director. That is, the decision to dismantle an aircraft most often depends on whether the value of its parts and components is higher than that of the aircraft as a flying machine. When speaking to CNN Travel, the managing director added, "The average age of the aircraft we scrap is 18 years. This is already well below the theoretical operational life they have been designed for, but in some occasions, we've dismantled aircraft that were not even 10 years old." Aircraft retirements are often sad for many reasons. saying goodbye to a particular aircraft, which either as a pilot or someone that has worked on the aircraft for decades, can mean really the end of an era. Retirements can go many ways, with historic and iconic aircraft headed to museums, some going to the scrap, some being left to rust and fall apart in graveyards, while others can be transformed into exciting attractions, like that Boeing 747 hotel I mentioned. Ultimately, whether the aircraft is Boeing, Airbus, Embraer, ATR or Mitsubishi, they've all had usually healthy and long lives, which have seen them transport millions upon millions of passengers safely to and from their destinations, and created everlasting memories for those on board. I'd like to take the time now to thank you very much for watching this video of mine. If you have another video like this that you would like me to cover, please don't hesitate to let me know. I do very much look forward to you all joining me in the next one.
Race all of these broken dreams in flight, and we'll fly.